Hi, my name is Alex. I was raised in the middle of Kansas, where my family has always been involved in missions. So I grew up very aware of the needs of people, both physically and spiritually. Also, I've always had an interest in the field of medicine. In 2011, my family and I moved to Liberia, West Africa. I quickly realized the need for basic health care. I couldn't do much, but for the kids in my neighborhood, I would help them with little sores, cleaning them and giving them a Band-Aid. Occasionally, a few more serious cases would come to me, like a few burns, and sometimes kids would get worms that burrowed into their skin and I would remove them. In December of last year, I participated in a CNA training in which I was the youngest and the only American. During that training, I heard about a little boy named Sekou. His mother had died and his father was taking care of him when he got very sick, and the father was unable to take care of Sekou, so he brought him to the hospital and left him. Sekou was unconscious and he was very malnourished. They had to put a feeding tube in. I went to visit him because he was all alone, and I would help in any way of his care that I could. I would change his diaper, or I would bathe him, or I would help, feed him. So slowly, over the next few months, he began to improve, though it was apparent that he had brain damage from his sickness, where he was unable to walk like he was before, and he could not talk. But it got to the point where he didn't need to be in the hospital anymore, and he didn't have a place to go. Nobody was coming back for him from his family. So I asked my parents if we could bring him into our home. So in April, he came to live with us, and I continued to work with him, and he has just grown in leaps and bounds. He gained 10 pounds, and he started to sit up, and he started to do some baby talk, and he's continuing to develop and grow every day. At about the same time as I was visiting Sekou, we brought 2 little babies into our home. They were premature and born at 2 pounds. Their mom had died. That night we went to a doctor friend's house of ours, and he gave me a crash course on how to do NG tubes. He taught me how to check if it was in the stomach and how to feed them and how much to feed them. When we got home that night, I was the person who knew how to feed the babies. I got up every 2 hours, I checked their tube, fed them, and put them back to sleep. Soon I taught my other family members how to do it, and as soon as they were comfortable, they started helping me. In about 1 month, we were able to take the feeding tubes out, and then when they left our house at about 4 months of age, they were 8 pounds. After all this, it became very clear to our family that there needed to be a ministry to help orphans and families in crisis. So we developed one. A pastor came to us one night and told us about a little girl named Peace. She was 5 days old, and her mother had died. So we packed up some formula because most Liberians can't afford formula, and we went to go visit them. I stood in front of the headlights of our car, and the aunt handed me the little girl. She was very small, extremely lethargic, almost unresponsive. Her skin was loose and dry. She was days from death. I made up a bottle of formula and I fed it to her standing there. We went back the next day, and I did a little bit more of an assessment, and I heard that last night when I had fed her that milk was the first time she'd ever drank milk, because up until that point the family had only given her sugar water. It was all that they had. So I taught the aunt and the grandma how to make the formula and feed it to her properly, and now she's healthy and thriving. Through these stories and many more, God has shaped my heart and my calling. He wants me to be compassionate through medical care. I once read a quote, "To live with compassion means to enter others' dark moments. It is to walk into places of pain, not to flinch or look away when another agonizes. It means to stay where people suffer." I believe that God has called me to be a doctor, to show Jesus' love, and to take his gospel to the unreached.
We must go, live to feed the hungry, stand beside the broken. We must go, stepping forward, keep us from just singing, must go. Fill us up and you send us out.